Just take your time then.
I am taking my time.
Don't rush. If it takes us 30 seconds, 10 seconds, it takes 10 seconds.
Okay. The only thing you have to be concerned with tonight is making me dinner after the show.
Which I always do. When am I not?
You always do. And we're giving away great posters tonight from Terry Good, the International Motocross Museum.
Oh.
The people get any poster of their choice.
Oh.
Okay?
Cool.
And that's what we're going to do. Okay? It looks like I'm already running a little bit late. I got to get the show moving. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Breathe.
Breathe?
Breathe.
It's like Lamaze over here. I don't know what to do. Good evening, everyone. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A, and I am your host, Joe Abbate. Thank you for joining me tonight. Along with me by my side is the lovely and enchanting Sue Abbate. Sue, everything going well in your world tonight?
It's good.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. We got a great show coming up for you. We've got some things that are going to, what's going to be involved here on tonight's show? Oh, we've got a Honda XR75. We've got a 66 Greaves 250. We've got a lot of things coming up. And first of all, I have to thank my sponsors, because without them, this show would not be possible. So thank you. Motion Pro and Vinco, the Moto Barn, Preston Petty Products, Replica, MotorcycleParts.com, Racer X, the International Motocross Museum, Full Circle Racing, and my dear friend, Mike Chamberlain, whose shirt I am proudly wearing tonight. Here it is, Mike. Can you see it? I know you got great eyes. Thanks, Mike and Joyce Chamberlain. Also, I want to thank Al Roof, who's been a longtime supporter of the show, and Fred Hudgens. Fred Hudgens, which is Derfs Cycles. You know, he does a lot down there, Fred Hudgens, all kinds of different things that not everybody does in every shop you're going to visit. So if you get a moment and you want to check out Derfs, you'll see things like that. There's all kinds of things like that, and some other custom things over at Derfs Cycle Shop. Right now, we're going to, we're going to take a look at this week's Next Time Try This segment, which is brought to you by Vinco. Vinco has over 800 products in their catalog. Be sure to visit them online at vinco.com. Here it is, a little bearing tip from Vinco. On tonight's Next Time Try This segment, I'm going to discuss with you a little bit about how to remove wheel bearings. It really isn't that difficult. With a couple of tips I'm going to give you, it's going to make it even easier. Something I want to bring to your attention before we begin, though. As the bearings sit on each side of the hub, there's a spacer that sits between them, just like this. It sits right in there between the two bearings. The axle rides on it. It helps keep the grease in and keep the dirt out. But you have to get this little bushing out of the way first before you have access to the bearing. How you do that is with a bolt like this. So that's what I like to use. Something with a blunt end on it. I'm going to show you how to get it down in there and how to pop that bearing out quite easily. It doesn't really matter which side you begin from. I prefer to keep the brake side down. You can see the bearing is flush right here. If you were to have this thing sitting flat on your workbench, there wouldn't be any room for the bearing to fall out. So I put a couple of pieces of wood like this. The thing you want to do is get that bolt that we talked about a little bit earlier and make sure, give it a little, put it about halfway down to where that sleeve is, where that bushing is. And you just give it a little tap like that, and it'll go to the side. Then you can feel that it's actually hitting the edge of the bearing. Give it a couple of taps. And as you can see, that bearing falls right out of there. And that's how easy it is to get the bearings out. Now I want to discuss a few other tips here with you before we finish up. If you're going to be bead blasting your hubs, take the bearings out, do your bead blasting, get them all nice and clean. Or if you're going to strip them, however you're going to refinish them. Before you paint them, I would recommend you put new bearings in. Yes, before you paint, put the new bearings in. I do it that way, and then I mask them off carefully, and then I paint the hub. I do that in order to avoid any nicks or scratches on the hub after I've painted it. So, get everything out, get it all cleaned up. You can bead blast it, press your new bearings in, mask it, then you can go about your painting and refinishing your hub. That was, of course, brought to you by Vinco.com. Keep the ride going. They got a lot of new top-end kits at Vinco for Yamahas, Hondas, all different types of bike, including DTs, YZs, and MXs. Just $151. $151 at Vinco. Keep the ride going. And I just caught my eye, too. A set of pegs for an OSA. Beautiful fabrication, beautiful construction. They look like they're finished in zinc. This is also available from our good friend Curtis Leverton and Vinco.com. Coming up in the Moto Showcase tonight, which is brought to you by Preston Petty Products. Be sure to visit Preston Petty Products online. Get yourself a new fender like this, or front or rear. They've got the integrated headlight, so much more at PrestonPettyProducts.com. Our bike tonight in the Moto Showcase was brought to you by me. It's a 1966 Greaves 250. And I restored this bike about, I want to say, 8 or 9 years ago. And it started off like this. It was sent in to me by a gentleman named Tim Clark. And we took the bike completely apart and we finished it up, and it looked a lot like this. Well, it looked exactly like this when we were done. It had a fiberglass gas tank. We had that repainted. And this was my first time that I had really learned about vapor blasting some of these parts. And well, this happened to be a hub, which was polished, but here's something that we did with vapor blasting. There is a lot of aluminum on this bike and a lot of paint work and some fiberglass, but it was the first experience I ever had with vapor blasting. Some other things I'd like to point out to you were some of the simplistic things on this bike. Again, 1966. If you look here, you'll see where the whole bottom of the chassis is really bolted together. Right here where it goes into that big aluminum beam. And I'm not sure you can see it in the picture, but right here is your ignition cover. And the gasket that keeps water out of that ignition is nothing more than a big inner tube that is stretched around the outside of that cover. Here in this picture, you can see some interesting things. Number one, that beam, that down tube, which we would see on regular bikes, is an aluminum beam on this bike. Also, all the steel on this machine where it was brazed, it's all brazed by hand. And once the paint is all stripped off it, you could see the beautiful brazing that was done back there in England. But one of the things that really fascinated me was this this aluminum down tube, and how that is attached to the steel. Is the steel is welded together first, then it is laid down in a jig with a mold around the front of that frame, and then liquid aluminum is poured over that frame, and this tube across the top here sits all the way into that steering stem area, and that whole casting is all made out of one piece. Very, very interesting. I learned a lot while restoring this bike. Another thing I had a little bit of a difficult time with were the wheels. They are English wheels. They are made by Dunlop, and they are 40-spoke rims. I had an interesting experience one afternoon at Raber's down in San Jose, a famous Triumph dealer. I had to go in there and look for these rims. They said, we've got a whole room of rims that we don't know what they are. Help yourself. And I spent, probably from lunchtime till about 5 o'clock till I found the two rims that I needed, and they did work. It was a really, really interesting experience. Of course, all of the hardware on this bike is not zinc. It is all nickel plated as well. In the end, the customer was exceptionally happy. I think we did a beautiful job on this bike. And there it is, a 1966 Greaves 250 Challenger. We have, you know what we're going to do right now, Suze? We're going to take a little break. Mm-hmm. We're going to run our Vinco commercial. Sure. Then we'll be back with a really good segment on zip ties from Jeff Kokoski. We'll be right back.
Vinco, who already has a full line of vintage parts, now has air shocks that are an exact duplicate of the original air shocks so popular in the late 70s. So whether you're looking to build a full racer or museum showpiece, these shocks will give you that incredible 70s look and improve your bike's performance. These new air shocks are fully rebuildable with Vinco rebuild kits, and all shocks are hand assembled in the USA with all new components. Every component is brand new. Just like the originals, our air shocks are adjustable with 2 chambers, high and low pressure, giving you tremendous flexibility for settings of your bike suspension. The Vinco air shocks come fully assembled and ready for installation. Just add air or nitrogen. The kits include the manual and spacers. Visit Vinco.com to check out the air shocks and all that Vinco has to offer to help you get back on track and to keep that ride going.
Did you know? This is an interesting little segment of the show. Did you know? Tonight it is presented by, it's almost always presented by our dear friend and a big supporter of the show, Jeff Kokoski. And what we're talking about tonight is, did you know about the zip tie? How about this? We've got them all. We've got millions of them around our shop. They're holding all sorts of things together, probably in our cars and in our homes. But I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the zip tie right now. Every mechanic has a handful of them in their toolbox or truck. They're great for securing wires and fuel lines. Off-road and enduro guys use them in fanny packs. Got them just about every place. But did you know where the zip tie came from? Our story begins in 1898 when 2 Princeton students, Robert Thomas and Hobart Betts, started their own company, Thomas and Betts, which sold conduit wiring connections to New York City and other companies that were trying to cash in on a new phenomenon called electricity. The company was very successful during the 20th century and eventually manufactured their own line of conduit products and electrical connectors. In the 40s, they were critical to the war effort, providing wiring products to build planes, tanks, and ships. In 56, Morris Logan, an immigrant from Scotland, was working at the company as a sales manager. He was assigned to visit the Boeing aircraft plant to evaluate their needs for the plant's electrical system and aircraft wiring needs. While touring the plant, he was struck by how cumbersome it was for the technicians to bundle up some of the thousands of feet of wires and communication controls that were all in the fuselage of the aircraft. At that time, the process of bundling cables together was known as cable lacing. Although effective, NASA still uses the technique in spacecraft today. It's quite laborious for aircraft workers, and they suffered cuts on their hands from that thin cord. Now, Logan knew that there had to be a better way, and he set out to design something new. Logan's breakthrough came in 1958 with the patent submission for a nylon strap with integrated an oval aperture designed to loop around cables and secure itself through friction. The first version of the cable tie was injection molded nylon and incorporated a metal wing and a closed end that would bind onto the strap as it pulled through the closure. Tie wraps are still manufactured today, but they're not exactly the same as they were at that time. So our story doesn't end really there. We're going to take up a little bit more of a look at this because this guy Logan was really, really interesting. About that same time that Logan was working on the cable design, a guy from Germany, you know how smart those guys are, Kurt Robel, a German engineer working in France, also had been designing and experimenting with cable tie devices. In 59, Robel secured a patent in France. Britain and a handful of other countries had designed and incorporated a serrated teeth method and one-way ratcheting closure. However, eventually it was called Tie Fast. It would become the basis for the general zip tie that we all see today that you find in big box retail stores and do-it-yourself home improvement places. Although Thomas and Betts claim to have invented the ratcheting type zip tie similar to the one we have today, many people say it was Robel's design that made it possible. However, Robel's design might never have been commercialized if it were not for Morris Logan. Along with Thomas and Betts and their manufacturing capabilities. Today, more than 40 companies produce something on the order of 100 billion zip ties a year. The widespread utility is inherent simplicity of the zip tie make them essential in our modern world. Jeff Kokoski, that was absolutely a fascinating little tidbit you brought to us on zip ties. We need to take one more break to squeeze in some of these commercials for our wonderful sponsors. We're going to do that right now, and we'll be back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A.
Hey, I'm Brad Lackey, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Be right back.
Motocross struck America, coming from Europe like a lightning bolt, striking the hearts and minds of people all across the country and the world. Battles of intense racing and cutting rivalries with loyalty to brands and heroes intensified as years of blood, sweat, and dirt flew through the minds of those memories of champions as they wrestled their machines through almost impossible tracks. But where are those past champions? And where are their bikes? Terry Good, an ex-pro motocross racer, has made it his life mission to honor these heroes and the bikes they rode to stardom. We raced, we rode, we lived and breathed motocross. Go back in time and relive those moments, now preserved for the first time ever in the world's first museum dedicated to the history of motocross. Our new building is in the gate. Help us get a great start and you can be part of history. Go to internationalmotocrossmuseum.org and become a part of our team.
Don't forget to keep sharing the show because our random share giveaway winner tonight is going to get a poster. Beautiful poster, compliments of Terry Good and the International Motocross Museum. I think I had a picture of it here. I'm not sure I showed it to you at the beginning of the show. Maybe I didn't. Anyway, you're going to get your choice of one of the posters from the International Motocross Museum. He's got them, of course, with Roger DeCoster, Bob Hanna, Marty Smith, and there's a whole bunch of other ones as well. Terry Good and the International Motocross Museum. Don't forget that is a 501c3 not-for-profit organization. So any donations that you make or anything that you buy from the International Motocross Museum is all tax deductible. International Motocross Museum. And there's another reason why I know what it was. We're going to go to the What's It Worth segment, okay? The What's It Worth segment is brought to you by Full Circle Racing. Thank you, Tom McAllister and Full Circle Racing. And I've got a little present for everybody in this segment of the show tonight too. While cleaning out my desk, I couldn't believe some of the things I found in it. I found this, and this is a nice little sticker pack. This was given to us by FastGuyStuff.com. Sean Gomes, going way back 3 or 4 years ago, probably 4 years ago. 4 years ago. When we didn't have any sponsors for the show and we needed some things to give away, Sean Gomes was one of the guys that was there, and he put these nice little packages together of these stickers. And in here, you've got some like DG stuff and probably Torsten Holman stickers, spark plug things, LOP Racing, all vintage stickers in here. I'm going to give it away to someone who can tell me what this motorcycle is worth. It was recently sold on Bring a Trailer. It is a 1973 Honda XR75. You at home, guess. Whoever gets closest without going over is going to get that sticker kit compliments of Sean Gomes. And if you do go over, you're still going to get it as long as you're closest to the price. It's a 1973 Honda XR75. It's been refurbished under previous ownership in 2016, with work having involved overhauling the 4-stroke single-cylinder engine, refinishing the bodywork in a metallic gray with the red graphics. The bike features a 4-speed transmission and upswept exhaust pipe. Actually, it's a downswept exhaust pipe, whoever's writing these articles. Anyway, it's got a cross-braced handlebar, a skid plate, high-mounted fenders, wire spoke wheels. Are there any other kind? And both front and side number plates along with a side stand. Acquired by the seller around 2019, this XR75 is offered at a no reserve price with an Oregon title. It is for off-road use only. And me looking at this bike, I'll tell you, it really is in exceptional condition. The paintwork was great. It looks like it has all the right parts on it. I did see that some of the hardware was not refinished on the bike, but look, everybody doesn't do everything all the time. The majority of the bike is there. The right parts are there. The hard to find things like those number plates are there. And it is overall just a beautiful little piece. A 1973, big following on the 73 XR75. It was sold in Oregon. How much did it sell for? $5,000, $55,000, $8,000. You think this bike went over $8,000? The bike was sold for $7,500. $7,500. If you were close enough.
Terry Ellis.
Terry Ellis?
Right on the bazooka.
Okay, Terry Ellis.
Down roof too.
Al Roof too? I'll tell you what.
Both of them.
I'll tell you what.
Bill Mason, three of them. Bill Mason, Rod,
Okay. I'll tell you what. You three guys, Bill Naselrod, Al Roof, and who was the third guy? Terry Ellis?
Yes.
I've got 3 packs of these stickers. If you want them, send me your address. I will give each of you one of those stickers. Naselrod and Roof, if you don't want them, I won't send them to you. I know you guys have won things before. Terry Ellis wants them?
I don't know. He hasn't
Okay.
said, but.
Okay. You guys were all on the money at $7,500. Terry Ellis, send me your address. I will get you stickers, compliments of FastGuyStuff.com. This week's special at Full Circle Racing is the CZ backing plates. These are- No, I'm only giving away 3, man. Come on. That's it. What was I saying? Oh, Full Circle Racing backing plates for a CZ, just $179 with the CZ logo in it. If you don't want the logo, get it for $169. What's the problem? That is our next segment of the show. And somebody sent in a real interesting question this week. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on it. It's only one question. But you know, while I have you all here with your undivided attention, send me pictures of your motorcycles, guys and gals, for the Moto Showcase. This way I can give you gifts instead of not giving away things on the show. I need Moto Showcase bikes. I need questions for the show that we could use here in the Here's the Problem segment. So if you send those in to me, there's always some nice prizes that we enjoy giving away here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. And we are talking about Here's the Problem. This segment is brought to you by Motion Pro. Be sure to go to motionpro.com for your tools, cables, and controls. And nothing makes you feel more professional than using those specialty tools that come from motionpro.com. The question this week for our Here's the Problem segment comes in from Mike Blank. And it was a little more involved in this, and I'm going to read it to you. But Joe, can you discuss the price of bikes and future prices after Meekham's auction this last winter? And Mike Blank is from Montana. I think I got a nice picture of Mike right here. Here it is. Here it is. And Mike says, just a suggestion for you, Here's the Problem segment. Selling our restorations of rare MX bike is a concern after the downturn at Meekham. Bring a Trailer is a very hit and miss or generic for their generic wording or description, and it's less than adequate. Is it best just to hold on to the bikes and wait for auction prices to rebound? Hopefully. Any other avenues for marketing vintage MX bikes that would work? Maybe a hard thing to figure out right now. Just a suggestion for discussion on the Here's the Problem segment. Well, you know what? This is something that comes up all the time, and there are a lot of doom and gloom people and a lot of naysayers that say after just generation passes on that there's not going to be any place to go with these old motorcycles. I don't believe that, because you got a lot of 40 and 45-year-old guys at Meekham every year and a lot of other motorcycle and car auctions around the world that are spending hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions of dollars for bikes that they no longer make. So I don't really think that the vintage motocross market is on the downturn at all. Do we see ebbs and tides in any market, such as collector cars, motorcycles, antiques, whether it's your stocks and bonds, whatever it may be? Of course we do. The political arena has so much to do with that, and we are seeing a bit of that going on right now. Is an election year coming up? I would say that you are going to see things on the downturn a little bit more until the following spring. It's not going to happen this November. It's not going to happen anytime soon. Also, a lot of people get charged up on seeing one bike do extremely well at Meekham. 2 years ago, it was Bultacos. Next thing you know, it's the running of the bulls at the Meekham motorcycle auction. Guys piling in there, one Bultaco after the next. And the market kind of falls flat. Hang on to your bike, just like any other asset. It's going to come back. And I don't think it's going to be going away. And look, nobody's got a crystal ball, but I'm going to say something. And I'm going to not stick my neck out there. I don't think it's sticking my neck out at all. When the International Motocross Museum comes to fruition, and that will be sometime in 2025, people get a real idea of what history is behind motocross and its bikes for over the past 100 years. You're going to see things go up, and you're going to see it go up exponentially, I can assure you. So stick around for the ride. Hang on to your bikes. Do the best job you can on your restorations. Also, a big thing that has to do with it is, what bike did you restore? See a lot of guys out there that might want to restore a 77 or a 78 Honda CR 125. Not exactly the high watermark for Honda, but 1974 75 KXs, 1974 YZ 360s, some of the more desirable bikes, when a good job is done on them, bring a premium. That's how I feel about that. And I think that's the way that's going to go down in the near future. Hang on to your bike. Don't sell it just yet. There's no reason. There's no reason to panic at all. Okay, we're going to take a little commercial break. We will be right back.
I'm Ron Lachine, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Joe Abbate for Vintage Motocross Q&A. When you're replacing a cylinder or a gasket or doing a top end on your bike, many times it's very, very difficult to get to the nuts that are on the base. And you want to be sure that you torque those evenly whenever you change a top end. Motion Pro has come up with this great tool. It's the torque adapter, okay? You can put any size wrench in there and you can tighten it up. On the back is a 3/8 drive. You can put your torque wrench in there, get the wrench on the nut that's on the base of your cylinder, and make sure everything is torqued evenly. This is a great tool. I have one in the shop. We use it all the time. It comes with instructions as well. Go see your local dealer or get to motionpro.com. And don't forget, go over to Vintage Motocross Q&A to get a 20% discount on all Motion Pro tools. Have to go over to Motion Pro. You don't have to go over to Vintage Motocross Q&A. You go directly to Motion Pro and use the code MP9135. That's MP9135, and you'll get 20% off across the board. Susie tells me that she has. What am I getting feedback here? Never mind. I got it. Okay, no feedback. Susie is telling me that she has the winner of tonight's random share giveaway. Susie, what do you got?
Oh, so I selected Rick Harper.
Rick Harper?
For tonight's winner. And he will be getting a beautiful poster from Compliments of Terry Good, IMN. And how does he select which poster that he would want? How does he do that?
Let me show you how this is done?
Yeah.
Okay, watch this. Watch me carefully. You ready? Rick Harper, you're tonight's random share giveaway winner. You have a choice of any poster at the International Motocross Museum. Those posters are compliments of Terry Good. Go over to the IMM website, pick out a poster, send me your mailing address. I will get it to Terry, and you will get the poster of your choice in a beautiful tube, protected perfectly, compliments of the International Motocross Museum and Terry Good. How was that, Susie?
Perfect.
Okay.
So why don't you do it all the time?
Because I'd like to get you involved in the show. People seem to like you.
I can't help that.
You know? Hey, can I show you guys something? This is really incredible. You see that hair on my wife, as beautiful as she is? That's the natural color of her hair. I can't believe it. She doesn't color it. It comes out of her head blonde.
This is the way that God blessed me.
Amazing.
This color.
Amazing.
Nice, right?
Yeah, it is.
So blessed.
You are.
Yeah. It's my gray.
It's a beautiful color.
I'm in style because everybody wants this color.
This Week in Motocross History is brought to you by RacerX.com, available on your newsstand now and also available online. 1977, Team Honda's Marty Smith and Jim Pomeroy went 1 and 2 to open the 1977 AMA Motocross Championship at the Hangtown Classic in California. For Smith, it was a sweet redemption for the previous season's loss at Hangtown to Bob Hanna, who was riding in the 125 class in 1977 per Team Yamaha's orders. It was also a good return for the U.S. for Jim Pomeroy, who had been toiling in the 250cc FIM Motocross World Championship circuit in Europe for much of his time aboard a Bultaco. In fact, it was since 1973. Now back in the States on a full works Honda, Pomeroy was hoping for a 250 National would mark his first professional title. But both Smith and Pomeroy would eventually be overtaken in the points by Suzuki's Tony DiStefano and the reigning two-time AMA national champion, who placed third at Hangtown in the opener. 1984, and one of the bigger upsets of the 80s, Team Tam privateer Honda rider Alan King won the opening round of the AMA 250 Pro Motocross Championship once again at Hangtown. And I am mentioning Hangtown a lot during this segment because it's coming up very, very soon. The first outdoor national, I think. Anyway, a former Suzuki and Kawasaki rider from Michigan, King's win came against factory Yamaha riders Rick Johnson, Keith Bowen, and Suzuki's Mark Barnett, Kawasaki's Ken Howerton, Billy the Bullet Lyles, and Honda's Ron Lechine. 1992. It was another opening night at the Pontiac Silverdome, and the winner of the 250 class was Damon Bradshaw of Team Yamaha. Michigan's own Jeff Stanton, Bradshaw's title rival, placed second, with Guy Cooper placing third. It's a great picture of Damon Bradshaw there. And yeah, we've got some stuff coming up. No, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go right into the finish line. Finish line is, of course, brought to you by my dear friend, Paul Parkinson Sr. and ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. Whatever you might need, be sure to get over to ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. You've heard me talk about the silencers, the airboxes, and hundreds of other items that are all made possible from Paul Parkinson Sr. Here's what he got going on this week. You guys recognize this? You Elsinore guys will. That is the clamp that holds your silencer onto the pipe of your CR 125 and 250 from 1973 and 1974. Paul has recreated them. He's done a beautiful job. They are available at ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com for $65. And you know what? I want to read a little note that Paul sent me. Joe, we just launched our replica of the first generation Honda Pickle silencers. We released our first Kawasaki KX model parts as well. We have more KX parts in the process. Our plan is to offer the same breadth of parts that we have for Honda CRs for Kawasaki KXs. There are also parts for Huskies, Suzukis, and Yamahas coming up soon. As always, we welcome customer parts requests. Thank you, Paul Parkinson. I'll tell you, you are the answer to a lot of people's prayers when it comes to replicating parts that we just can't get anymore. ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. What are some other things we have coming up? Well, we had a big event happen last weekend. It was the Trailblazers. Trailblazers, of course, the biggest off-road club in the country, and they had a couple of inductees. Some of them are up there from other years too, but guys that you may recognize that were inducted this year were Brock Glover, Roger DeCoster, Dave Aldana, and Mercedes Gonzalez. Congratulations to everyone who was inducted into the Trailblazers Hall of Fame. You know, when I see Roger DeCoster up there, who has been retired now for, I don't know, since 1980, 81? Roger's been retired for 42 years, and he's just getting into the Trailblazers Hall of Fame. I would have to live to 150 at least to even be considered. But anyway, congratulations to everyone there at the Trailblazers. Scott Burnworth's got another event coming up, and that is at Verona. That is happening on May 5th. Scott and Debbie Burnworth. Be sure to catch him online at the SoCal Vintage Classic. We have another event coming up in, it's right here. It's right around the corner. April 19th, 20th, and 21st. This is the South Carolina Vintage National. For info, go to victory-sports.com. That's a 3-day event. I think that's 19, 20, and 21. The CZ World Championship is coming up. That happens on April 26th, 27th, and 28th. People from all over the world come to California on that weekend for the CZ World Championship. Vintage Motocross Q&A will be there as well, covering that event. We've got T-shirts. We've got hoodies. We've got them here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. Susie is making them in-house. The shirts start at just $20. We've got a price list right here. We have it posted all over our Vintage Motocross Q&A page as well. We've got T-shirts starting at $20. We've got them in double XL, triple XL for $30. We've got long sleeve tees. We've got hoodies up to 5X, okay? They come in gray, white, and black. And you know what? I've got them listed here in gray, white, and black. We've got a black T-shirt right here. But you know something? If you really wanted a custom color, you want pink, you want green, we could do that. We're making the shirts right here in-house. T-shirts, short sleeve and long sleeve, and hoodies, whatever color you want. If we can get it, we'll make the shirt for you. Get a hold of us through Vintage Motocross Q&A, or you can contact Susie directly through Facebook.
Yeah.
Vintage Motocross Q&A sponsorship opportunities are still available, and we've got a really great special going on for people who want to be supporters of the show. It is not as expensive as being a monthly sponsor, and you'll get some good exposure from this as well. Supercross returns this weekend. I'm still trying to give away this Vinco gear bag. I will take any 3 racers in order. They could be the first 3, they could be the second 3, they could be 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Well, they could be 2.
Could be 2, 3, and 4.
Wow.
Just give me 3 in a row, and I will give you this beautiful gear bag, compliments of Curtis Leverton and Vinco.com. That about wraps it up for this week's episode of Vintage Motocross Q&A. I will get Gino right now. Don't forget, keep sharing the show even after it's over. Congratulations to the guys. It could be Al Roof or it could be a nasal rut. Hey, Gino, come on. Or, come on, Gene, try again. You got it. Come up. Okay. You're overfeeding this dog, that's for sure.
Oh, what happened, Jane?
Whoever's name I called out for the stickers, you'll get a sticker sheet just like this. Compliments of our friend Sean Gomes and FastGuyStuff.com. And who was the guy who won the posters from Terry Good? Rick Harper? Rick Harper. Get me your address. I'll get it to Terry. Pick out a poster.
Yeah.
And we'll get it to you. Compliment is International Motocross Museum and Terry Good. That wraps it up for Vintage Motocross Q&A. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week on Vintage Motocross Q&A.
Yeah. Very good. It was good.